What's up, everyone? It's Q from Retro Q Gaming, and let's talk about a couple of things to do with Steam. So, the things we're going to touch on in this video is Steam, its whole release day / date policy, and the people on Steam that don't seem to understand this. So, I don't know which one to start on first, so I'm just going to pick one, right? Obviously, they sell games on Steam. Duh, that's one of the main reasons why it's there. But also, the handy thing about them is they will most games at least will let you preload them. So obviously 99% of you know what this is, but just in the odd chance you don't, preloading a game is downloading it before it's actually released, so you can play it instantly upon release. Now, that's useful for many reasons. One, because you get to play it pretty much straight away, but if you've got a shitty internet connection or whatever, or you just want to get good to go straight away, it's all there. So obviously that comes in handy. Now, when you preload a game, obviously you can only use it, or you can only start using the game once it hits the official release. Now, here's where shit gets sketchy. So, a perfect example is when you look at the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4, when you preload games, some of them let you preload it. When you do preload it, or if the game doesn't let you preload it, but it releases digitally at the midnight of whatever launch anyway, come midnight, you can either play it if you have it preloaded, or you can start downloading it at midnight straight away of the release date. One or two exceptions, but generally that's the golden rule. Now, the problem with Steam is that Steam used to do local midnight launches. Basically would mean, obviously the Steam store is updated at 5 p.m. GMT, which is, depending on your time zone, it's the middle of the morning in America. It's like 10 a.m. or noon, again, depending on your time zone. But the main thing is, it gets really annoying when you know that in the digital 2016 that we live in, where you have to wait till 5 or 6 p.m. to be able to play a game that should be out that day. And not only that, but it's that other platforms, now it's not that they're consoles, it's just that other platforms have the ability to do that. Now, having said all that, Steam used to do that. Like I mentioned it a second ago, Steam used to do the local launches where it would unlock at midnight on your time specifically. Like I remember, off the top of my head, the last one I remember actually it working for is Metro Last Light. Now that's original Metro Last Light. It's not the Redux version or anything, but the original Metro Last Light, I actually bought that about 10 minutes before the midnight launch of it, and I could download it and play it like 10 minutes later at midnight. That seems to have changed over the last couple of years now, because the main thing I said is that's the last game I remember where that actually happened. Now, one of some of the main reasons for all the crap is, why has that changed? Some games even have their own individual time. Some games just wait for a standard, what would you call it? The standard Steam store update. So come 5 p.m., some games just automatically unlock. Some games will have their own individual times with their own special times. I remember the Resident Evil remaster. I think that unlocked at like 5 a.m. in the morning or something like that. It was a strange time anyway. Capcom just re-announced it like a couple of hours before it actually happened. They changed the time, so just out of nowhere. MGS5 is another example. That unlocked at 5 a.m. Not 5 p.m. with the store update, but it actually unlocked at 5 a.m. It was really strange. And who knows why all that was done. But the point is that possibly the developers or the publishers or Steam, Valve, whoever, have the ability to do this and unlock it at certain times, not just the store update. So that's why it's kind of questionable and all that, on there. I'm going to touch on one more thing before I get to the final point of the video, or the final reasoning behind the video, is that all the people on Steam that can't seem to grasp their head around this. Now, Okay, fair enough. I will say I've looked at some of the people's profiles that are guilty of this. Some of them literally only have one game, so they've only it's the game in question here, but some of them literally only have one game, so they might not be familiar with how Steam does things. But you can see it on practically every new game release that doesn't unlock at your local midnight. So you go into the Steam community of X game, and it doesn't unlock till the Steam store update at 5 p.m. or 5 p.m. GMT, whatever your local time is there. But you go into the Steam community page, and it's just page after page after page of what the fuck, why can't I play this game? It's been 20 minutes since the release date hit. I was like, okay, I understand why it's bullshit and why they're pissed off. I understand that. But a lot of these people have 100, 200, some of them even more games. Now, like I said, one or two of them do only have like one, they only have their Steam account for that game. So maybe they're not familiar with it. Fair enough. But the majority, like the 99% of the people that are guilty of all this crap are familiar with this shit already. Now, why are they complaining? Okay, well, I understand in a way why they're complaining, because it is bullshit. I mean, Steam have a history, Valve have a history, and the other developers and publishers have a history of being able to unlock and play those games at whatever time they want. Specifically, local midnight is usually the time that's thrown into question. But the fact is, well, should I go straight into it? No, I won't. The fact is, it is bullshit. But these people, they're not even doing it productively. They're not even doing it critically. They're just being whiny babies the way they're doing it. I mean, you should see these posts. They're just ridiculous. There's people requesting refunds and everything just because the game wasn't available 5 minutes past midnight. I think that's a bit overboard. Again, I know I've said it a few times now, but I do think it is complete bullshit that Valve and all or Valve developers, whoever, that they don't just release it at local midnight. Like I've said 100 times now, they're capable of doing, and they've done previously in the past, especially because this is Capcom. And well, I've kind of given it away at this point now, but Capcom have done this previously and given it a strange release time, a good strange release time, with the Resident Evil 1 remaster. Obviously, at this point, you've probably guessed that I'm talking about Resident Evil 0 HD remaster. I figured everyone probably realized that at this point. So, just out of curiosity, or not out of curiosity, just so everyone knows, I'm making this video at 11:13 a.m. GMT on the 19th of January. So the game is technically supposed to be out today. One thing that's also very strange about Resident Evil the 0 remaster is that when you look on the store page, it just says available January 19th. It usually, they have a countdown time, even if it's not an exact time countdown, usually it's approximately, this game will unlock in approximately 4 hours, this game will approximately unlock in 2 hours, this game will approximately unlock in 2 weeks, 4 days, and 6 hours. So they usually give a general idea of when you can expect it to do that. But the thing that's really weird about this one is it just says available January 19th. Now, I realize that they usually go off the Steam store update and the Valve time, which I think is bullshit. I know I've said it a billion times in this video now, and I think that's bullshit. But I just don't understand the people who have histories with this over and over again, who are complaining about it in the worst way, and they're not doing anything properly about it. Like, they're not being critical about it. They're just these posts from these people with hundreds of games, hundreds of proper games, not just small indie free to play games, anything like that. These are people with proper games, lots of proper games. So chances are they've been through at least a couple of these midnight launch incidents where it doesn't, well, lack of midnight launch incidents, basically. And these people are, oh, fuck you Capcom, fuck you Steam, uninstalling, not using this shit ever again, moving to Origin, blah blah blah. These people are just fucking stupid. That's all I can say. They're just absolutely fucking stupid. And it makes me ashamed that people will see this kind of stuff and think, oh, all PC gamers are just whiny cunts. No, We're not. There's a bunch of people that are fucking idiots, but I mean, you get that anywhere you go. But anyway, I'm just going to wrap it all up. The fact is, Valve, Steam, other developers and publishers, you have the ability to launch the game at local midnight. I don't care if you're... They're probably afraid of just... I don't know. They're probably just afraid of like piracy, because if it releases if it releases in like New Zealand and Australia, because they're ahead time zone wise, it'll release there first. They're probably afraid people will crack it and download and pirate it, and they'll lose 1 billion sales. That's not the case. That's not going to happen. So just please, developers, publishers, Steam, Valve. I don't know why I say Steam and Valve separately. It's just a habit at this point. Just please go back to releasing games at local midnight. That's all I can say. I mean, I generally don't mind too much, because I would have liked to play Resident Evil 0 before I went to work today, but apparently that's not going to happen. But if it does unlock at the actual Steam store update time, that's when I get out of work. So I'll get home. The game is already preloaded. I'll get home. Chances are I'll just have to decrypt it, and then I'm good to go. So that's it. I mean, there's so many people freaking out. There's people even going onto the Japanese Capcom website and the Resident Evil 0 one, and they're freaking out. It's like, oh my god, it says January 22nd. The worldwide January 22nd release date has been for the Origins collection. So unless something else has changed, which possibly it could or could not have, I don't speak Japanese and Google Translate will not do the page. I don't know. I mean, these people are just insane. They're just insane. Again, I'm going to say it one more time. I understand why it's bullshit, and like Steam used to do it. Why can't they just do it anymore? It's a load of crap. I shouldn't have to wait till 6 p.m. to play a game to play a digital game in 2016. I don't know. It's just a load of bullshit. So that's all that anyway. Let me know in the comment section below. Have you been affected by one of this kind of thing ever? What are your opinions on it and all that? Are you a console user who doesn't run into these problems because you can actually like preload or download and play your games at midnight? Are you familiar with the old Steam version of it, when we actually had full proper midnight local launches and all that stuff? You let me know all that in the comment section below, as well as your opinions on how they're handling the whole thing. Let me know all that. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. You can follow me on Twitter, details in the description below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the rest of the videos in my channel.